The one you just heard with the children, and I will read it again from the New Revised. Mark 5. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. And then one of the leaders of the synagogues named Jairus came, and when he saw him, fell at Jesus' feet and begged him repeatedly, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live." So Jesus went with him. And a large crowd followed him and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from a hemorrhage for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, for she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." Immediately, her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately aware that power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" He looked around to see who had done it, but the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, fell down beside him. My things keep messing with me. Fell down before him and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." And our second text, I'm going to guess that you may have never heard this read in church before. It does never come to the lectionary, and I'm not totally sure I've ever preached on it, so here we go. The elder to the beloved Gaius, whom I love in truth. Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you, and that you may be in good health, just as it is with your soul. I was overjoyed when some of the friends arrived and testified to your faithfulness to the truth, namely, how you walk in the truth. I have no greater joy than this, to hear that my children are walking in the truth. Beloved, you do faithfully whatever you do for the friends, even though they are strangers to you. They have testified to your love before the church. You will do well to send them on in a manner worthy of God, for they began their journey for the sake of Christ, accepting no support from non-believers. Therefore, we ought to support such people so that we may become co-workers with the truth. I have written something to the church, but Diotrephes, who likes to put himself first, does not acknowledge our authority. So if I come, I will call attention to what he's doing in spreading false charges against us. And not content with those charges, he refuses to welcome the friends and even prevents those who want to do so and expels them from the church. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but imitate what is good. Whoever does good is from God. Whoever does evil has not seen God. Everyone has testified favorably about Demetrius, and so has the truth itself. We also testify for him, and you know that our testimony is true. I have much to write to you, but I would rather not write with pen and ink. Instead, I hope to see you soon. We will talk together face to face. Peace to you. The friends send their greetings. Greet the friends there, each by name. And then one more verse. The Gospel of John, chapter 8, just a couple verses, 31. Then Jesus said to the Jews, the Judeans who had believed in him, "If you continue in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free." They answered him, "We're descendants of Abraham and have never been slaves to anyone. What do you mean by saying, 'You will be made free'?" The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So it was about the year 85, give or take a few years, and there are communities of people committed to following the ways of Jesus. They have traveled, dispersed a little bit, farther from Jerusalem. They are committed to following the way, the truth, and the life that was passed on to them by this Palestinian Jew named Jesus, or in Greek would be pronounced Jesus. In Hebrew, it would be Yeshua, Joshua. So what does it mean to be committed to the way, the truth, the life of Yeshua? The way, this path of Jesus, is rooted in community and belonging. They are together on the path. And on one side of the path, there is a guardrail of truth that instructs us how to love God, like not having other gods or keeping the Sabbath. And on the other side of the path, there is another guardrail that helps instruct us on how to love our neighbor, like not stealing or committing adultery or lying. Being committed to the life that Jesus described is often in conflict with what we humans desire in life naturally. Jesus talks about being blessed when we are poor in spirit, when we are meek, and when we mourn, because it is in those places that we are most able to see the kingdom of God. Being committed to the life of Jesus means trusting the God who grows the lilies without any of our help. The God who takes care of the birds without any of our help. And not for nothing, I'm going on a tangent. I bought a goldfinch bird feeder. It's goldfinch because you have to know how to eat upside down. I had 2 goldfinches yesterday. That's what I'm saying. God makes goldfishes, doesn't need my help. Walking the way of Jesus means walking not 1 mile, but another with someone else. So by the 85th year of this first century, the way of Jesus was becoming a little more structured, as humans like to do, and the followers of Jesus were dealing with internal conflicts, as groups just happen to have naturally. Their conflicts were about who really has authority, and then also how do we really welcome others who are from different places than us and are culturally different than us. Now, in this 3rd letter of John that we read, the author commends the elder Gaius, right? You have tremendous hospitality, he says. And then the author criticizes publicly this someone named Diotrephes for his rejection of John's authority and how he refuses to welcome people from other cultures into their community, right? So you got a church from down the road. They're different, they act different, they eat different things, they wear different clothing, and they want to come visit, and this guy is saying, The word truth is mentioned 6 times in this very short letter of only 15 verses. The writer wrote a letter to speak the truth to the community of Jesus' followers. Why? Because the truth will set you free. In the Gospel of John, written a couple decades later than this letter, Jesus is trying to offer an explanation of who he is and why he can testify about himself for himself. So he turns to the Judeans who were following him, and he says, "If you all continue in my word, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And I don't know if you caught it, but they missed the whole point, because all they heard Jesus say was that they might not really be free. Jesus was speaking the truth about the truth. What is truth? In Greek, the word is aletheia. The alpha, the a in the beginning, means no. Just like in English, if we add an a, like atypical, or un at the beginning. So aletheia means no, forgetfulness, or concealment. It means unconcealment. It means that which is not hidden. Truth is reality revealed or disclosed. Truth is not about facts. It's about disclosure and transparency. So this is the first week in a 5-week series that we're going to do on reconciliation. And I have developed this from a book that I've read by John Paul Lederach. Lederach is a global peacemaker. And his book, Reconcile, Conflict Transformation for Ordinary Christians, has offered tremendous insight for me as I continue to lead our congregation through a journey of peacemaking. If you look at the cover of your bulletin, you'll see the verse that is going to guide us every week. It's Psalm 85:10, and the key words are truth, mercy, justice, and peace. So this week we're reflecting on truth. Lederach describes truth this way. Truth is like light that is cast so all may see. In times of conflict, truth wants to bring forward what really happened, putting it out in the open. Truth is not interested in watered-down versions or partial recounting. Truth's helpers, if you will, are transparency, honesty, and clarity. He says this: truth can only appear where the search is genuine and authentic. Truth comes only when each person shares with others what they know of truth, and when each other person respects the other's voices. So there's a disclosure and a receptivity to more disclosure. You know the parable about the blind man and the elephant, right? 6 blind men approach an elephant, and one felt the leg and said, "An elephant is like a tree." And then another touched the trunk and said, no, it's like a snake. And then the third held the ear and said, no, it's clearly a fan. The fourth touched the side and said, it's a wall. And the fifth grabbed the tail and said, a rope, it's a rope. The sixth grabbed the tusk and said, it's a spear. Each spoke their truth. And without all of their truths and without all the willingness to concede that one might not have all the truth, truth is not present. But when we have the whole truth, healing happens. The truth sets us free. So imagine with me, a woman is lying in bed, she's hurting. She lives with chronic abdominal pain. And she heard that a healer would be in town. His name was Yeshua, which means God saves. She has long lost hope for being saved. Her illness has her literally trapped. There has not been a doctor or a treatment so far that has set her free. Her illness has kept her from living a typical life. It has affected her child rearing. Her relationships have suffered, not to mention just the basic toll that happens in a person when they live with chronic pain. She places her feet on the ground, and she sits up, and she breathes, and she cracks her neck and moves her back, her aching back. But inside of her, there is still a longing, a hope for more. So she gets up and she washes her face and she puts on an outer garment and she finds her sandals and she determines herself to sneak into this crowd with the healer, she'll go unnoticed. She doesn't want a production. Besides, she really doesn't want to see anyone to answer the forever question, how are you feeling? She doesn't want to put too much expectation into this decision. She just wants to put one foot in front of the other, find the healer, reach out, and just touch part of his clothing. One foot in front of the other. She walks toward town and she sees a crowd gathered around someone, and there is plenty going on that day, and so she has been able to avoid anyone's gaze. She slips in and around people, dodging arms and feet, and then she's just close enough, and she takes a breath in and she reaches her hand and she barely grazes his clothes. And she begins to turn back away from the crowd, heading to the side of the road, but the crowd has stopped for some reason. And so she looks up, still with her head down, and the healer is asking, who touched him? She touched him. He can't possibly know that. But she knows it. And she pauses and realizes that her body does not feel the same. Something has happened. And he knows. His disciples try to tell him that his question is ridiculous. Too many people are all around him. Too many have touched him. But Jesus insists, no, someone touched me. This woman, there is so much vulnerability at this moment in her life. She is not going to be able to go unseen. She wanted to be concealed, but that's not going to happen. So she raises her head, and Jesus and her see each other. It's not a glance and it's not a stare. They notice one another. They see one another. And they approach one another. This story is included in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but only in Mark's Gospel does it say, quote, knowing what had happened to her, she came in fear and trembling, fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. How long did it take? How long did the crowd wait for her to tell the whole truth? Did they sit down? Did Jesus take her off to the side? Did her story become something everyone wanted to hear? Maybe she started to tell the things she didn't tell her neighbors. And then they started to understand her more, because now they're hearing the whole truth. Reconciliation requires the whole truth. Healing requires the whole truth. Freedom comes with the whole truth. Amen. As you are able, let's stand and affirm our faith together. Our confession for the next few weeks comes from the Belhar Confession. This comes out of South Africa,